Anyway, I think this would be perfect for your trip to the trials.
I forgot about your 62 TR4.
Needs a little work.
Okay.
It's complete.
We're just gonna buff it a little bit. This car is going to the trials this year. Wait. The other end of the black wire was not connected.
Okay.
Alright, so now that we have the transmission out, let's see what we're gonna put in. So here on the testing rig, we have David Tashingham's TR3 transmissions dedicated to his TR4. So this A-type overdrive, we have to, oh my god, it's so solid here. We're gonna have to test it now. That's not final conclusion here, but we think that we're gonna have to go back to the 4-speed transmission because this one builds only 300 psi of pressure. And
So we're pretty dejected, so we're just going to give up on the project.
oh yeah, oh.
Push it back in the shed.
Can't we just push it in the woods?
Push it in the woods.
Yeah. Alright, it's a rainy day today. Unfortunately, we can't pull out the car from the shed.
Do you know why it's raining?
Why is it raining?
You know why it's raining.
Why?
I'm on vacation starting next week. So
It's
the
gonna
start
be.
of my vacation for a week, and what's it supposed to do all week?
That's
well, I
the
have to
reason.
do some wet sanding, so maybe who cares if it's raining?
So it's your fault. Anyways, welcome to another episode of the TR4, 1962 TR4 that we are putting kind of together on the Rusty Beauties channel with the Chef Tash from the Taj Mahal help, or the Rusty Beauties are helping Chef Tash. Anyways, it's a collab, and today I think we should address this overdrive that in the last episode we determined that it wasn't working properly. So,
I thought we were just going to put the 4-speed back in.
okay, let's give it a try. So in the last episode we changed the seals, front and rear seals of the transmission. We made this solenoid work because it was pretty well seized. We unseized it, it started crack-a-lacking. The lever here was not operating at all. Now it is moving up and down, and it comes back down to the off position supposedly. But unfortunately the pressure was not going higher than 300, and we could hear the overdrive engaging, but nothing was happening. I mean, it was happening, the RPMs were dropping by 20,
50,
not even
45?
50, oh, 20, 25 RPM. So obviously the clutch is spinning inside or something, so there might be low pressure, and that's why there's not enough pressure to push the clutch. But I'm thinking also, when I was watching the footage after that, I don't see the needle on the gauge dropping at all as when we engage the overdrive, which kind of makes me think that maybe the operating valve is not operating properly, because even if we have low pressure, when we have 300 there and it is not engaged, as soon as we open the valve, the pressure should drop and then try to build up, and if it doesn't build up, then we should blame the pressure. But now it doesn't drop, so that's what triggered in me that maybe it is not only the pressure. So I think today we should take apart the operating valve from here, take out the plunger, the spring and the bowl from inside, and see if anything is seized maybe, I don't know. And if that doesn't work, again we're gonna take out this plate from here, and we're gonna try to put a washer on the accumulator spring. That's a old trick that people do to give a little bit more pressure of the spring if it is old and tired. So that might help us to increase the pressure a little bit, but we will see. Let's first take apart the operating valve. there a spring?
Yeah, little tiny spring. Go anywhere. Ooh, ball.
The little plunger and the bowl.
There's a little copper wash on it. Oh, I had it.
Good. Alright, so this is the valve stem that has a little hole here, which if it is plugged, I'm hoping that this is our problem. But we'll find out now. Let's wipe it. Are you gonna blow in it? Really?
Well, we'll see.
Wrong side.
Oh, it's-
Did it blow through?
yeah, it blew through, but I would throw it on the air gun.
Okay, it's blowing through. Unfortunately, it's blowing through, so maybe that's not the problem. We can try again. Nothing else that we can do here, so we can put back the stem. Then we have the bowl. So then we put the plunger and the spring. So normally here we would put this cap on top, but because now we want to put the gauge, we're going to put the gauge which looks exactly the same as the cap. It just presses the spring down, which presses on the bowl. Alright, let's try that again.
Hang on a second.
$14.45.
Ready?
Yeah. Yep. It drops here too. So what just occurred to me is that the RPM drop on this side by 20 or 30 RPM when we engage the overdrive, and I thought that the clutch was slipping. That's why it was changing a little bit the RPM, but not a lot. But now what occurred to me is that maybe the clutch is seized and it's trying to move, but it's not happening, but it's still putting a load on the overdrive. And that's the reason why I checked the RPM on this side as well, and the RPM drop on this side too. So we're just, because we're putting a little bit of load, we're putting more load on the motor, and the motor is slowing down by 20 RPM. But the ratio between here and here doesn't change.
So the other thing we were going to do is check the filter.
Yeah.
You never know. I mean, we should probably look and check. Maybe that's preventing the pressure.
Yeah, it's possible.
So why don't we do the simple things first? Does the A-type only have one filter, or does it have two?
Just one.
Okay.
It's gonna stop. Looks like it's clean though, because this is the...
Leave the sludge on the bottom of that.
Yeah, but the actual filter, I think this is the clean side of the filter, the dirty side of the filter. Okay, so as it's standing up, let's take this cover off then.
So you want to get into it then?
Well, let's try to bring the pressure up by pushing a
yeah.
washer, and if it doesn't work, then I might take it apart anyways and see what's happening inside. Oh, okay. Oh my god, it's making it dirty. Haha. Okay. So this is where the O-ring lives. So we're gonna change this O-ring just in case because it became square shaped. And we have a new gasket for here. Look, this is a new gasket.
Yeah.
Somebody has been inside already, so. Okay.
And that spring's huge.
Yeah.
Wow.
So deep down there is the accumulator. That, I don't know, maybe we should take out and clean as well. But it looks like everything is nice and clean inside. You can see the springs. Alright, so as you saw, we took out these two springs from there. And this is the old style A-type, the early style A-type Overdrive, which uses this big spring and another one inside. If you see here, this is the newer style, which is used in TR6. So you have a big sleeve and you have two pistons inside the one inside the other for accumulator, and then there's a spring inside this sleeve. The old style was like that. So this is only piston, the big spring and a small spring. So this is the first time I actually deal with one of these oil style ones. But anyways, we still have the accumulator piston inside, which we're gonna try to take out later. We took out this valve, so here, this is the relief valve. So when too much pressure builds up inside, there's this spring and a plunger and a bowl that are bolted into this hole there. And when too much pressure builds up, that pressure overcomes the tension of the spring and it releases it a little bit. So we took that out to clean it too. And now to take out the piston from there, there's a trick. So we took out again the operating valve from here. We only took out the spring and the plunger. The valve is still inside the stem and the bow is there, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the bow is there. And now David is gonna blow air in it.
You're gonna catch.
I'm gonna try to catch the piston. Oh, because the accumulator piston is gonna fly off from here. Let's go.
Ready?
Yeah. Okay. Here it is. So we're just taking it apart to see if there's broken rings or something, but it looks like everything looks okay. Anyways, we can see inside here that there's safety wire on the bolts, and with this transmission there was safety wire everywhere. If you remember in the previous video, we took apart the front cap and there were safety wire there where normally there isn't. When I took out this cover, inside on the shifter shafts where there's a square set screws there, they were also safety wired. So normally you don't have safety wire here, but you have in this case. So I'm pretty sure that this Overdrive has been taken apart and rebuilt, so it should work. We just can't figure out why it doesn't work.
It depends on who rebuilt it.
Well,
I mean, I could have rebuilt it.
Maybe. Okay, we're gonna keep going here. All right, so there was nothing wrong with the piston. We put it back inside. Now we're gonna assemble this valve. That's how we took it apart. We blocked this on the side with the paper towel so we don't lose any parts inside the Overdrive. So now we're gonna put, first actually I'm gonna put the copper washer there. Like that. Then we're gonna put the bowl. If you have the operating valve and this valve at the same time taken apart, be careful not to mix up the bowls because they're different size, and I'm assuming the spring as well.
Can we take it back?
Yeah, a little. Okay, that should be more than enough. And now we have here the cap with the spring and the plunger that go together. There you go. Fortunately or unfortunately, we didn't find anything wrong here. Everything seems to be fine. So if it's not building pressure, it's probably because of bad pump inside here, or the other option is maybe the operating pistons, they have worn rings or something and just don't build pressure. We're gonna put our springs back. I just don't know, I wanna put a washer here inside the smaller spring, because that's sometimes a little bit too loose, like it's old and tired, and this is a trick that people do, they put a washer on it. But I might make something on the lathe which is with a little
sleeve.
Yeah, something that goes inside the spring and then it has a wider washer. We'll see. Okay, now before we do anything, we're gonna change this O-ring here. I believe we have it, and maybe change the gasket. Yeah, so this one is ripped, and then I'll show you when we make something here. We will show you what we made for there. Okay, so David just pulled out the O-ring that became square just by sitting. I'm pretty sure this Overdrive hasn't been put in use after it's been rebuilt. But anyway, so he's gonna change the O-ring, and we made sure that this is the right O-ring. And I was just telling him now that when he installs this, when he puts gasket maker, he shouldn't put, even though the gasket goes around the O-ring as well, he shouldn't put gasket maker there, because that makes this shaft a little bit sticky and it doesn't return sometimes. That happened to me once and I realized that was the issue. In the meantime, I made this kind of plunger that will go here. Cat and the dog are fighting. But I don't think it's gonna help a lot. So on the new style accumulator, where it has a sleeve outside and just one spring, that's how you help with the pressure. Here you have this huge spring which also pushes on the piston, so I don't think that's gonna help, unfortunately, but still, no, actually it might. Okay, let me make an experiment here. I think I found something interesting. Okay, so I put the spring inside with my plunger without the big spring, and look, this is below the level of the surface here, and the cover is flat. There's no boss or something to push on that spring. So this means that if we are without the plunger, this spring was pretty loose inside, because I'm pretty sure that this spring is pushing the piston all the way in that direction. So if the piston comes back a little bit, then yeah, this spring is gonna start having tension on it as well. But if the piston is pushed all the way in with this spring, then this spring is gonna be pretty loose inside. So I don't know if we can find somewhere in the specs how long this spring needs to be.
For that.
I'm gonna go look around. All right, so we put it together with the spacer behind the spring, even though I don't think it's gonna help a lot. We also cheated a little bit with the relief valve spring. We stretched it a little bit so it has a little bit more pressure. Hopefully it opens at a higher pressure. I don't know if that's gonna work, but as we were working, we got a notifications that these two guys posted a new video about working on an overdrive that wasn't working very well for them. So we watched that, we took a little break.
We didn't really get any motivation from the video though, because they didn't fix it.
Yeah, but hopefully we're gonna have a better luck than them.
I think the oil pressure relief spring lengthening is gonna fix it.
Okay, hopefully. By the way, we actually didn't assemble even the lever there, we just left it loose. We left it without the lever. I'm gonna operate it from here. So, fingers crossed. What did we do?
pressure.
What did we do?
Okay, the big spring.
This way is on for a while. You know how there was a
Airlock?
yeah. Let's pretend that didn't happen, okay?
So let's take the big spacer out first, and
Yeah.
then
We have no other option. Have to take the big spacer out. That didn't work. Alright, so we put this invention out and we pretend that we never put it in there. So let's see now it's gonna build pressure. What happened? What changed? Let's see if we put everything properly here, but I'm pretty sure we did. The plunger, the spring was on top of the plunger.
so the only other thing we did was lengthen the. Maybe we should have gone the other way, but that doesn't make any sense.
No.
How is that possible now? Can't get it to build any pressure.
I'm pretty sure it's an airlock. Maybe we should just need to drive
Keep running it?
Run it.
Okay.
Coming. Now we took out the thing. Try with the spacer again.
You think?
Yeah. Alright. Looks like the spacer wasn't the issue. It was just an airlock, so we're gonna put it back. And we're gonna pretend that we never took it out.
Well, that helped. Didn't help a lot.
That's it. So I see two possible reasons why. First, obviously, is the oil pump. Maybe it's not building enough pressure, not enough for the pistons to push all the way. Like we can hear the pistons moving
Yeah.
together with the carrier, but whether it's enough, I don't think so, because normally the operation level is 400 psi. And when we watched one of my old videos, we saw that one of the overdrives that I rebuilt was building only 350, but that was enough for the overdrive to operate. So if we build 350, maybe it's gonna operate, but it is only 300. And the other possible reason why it wouldn't build pressure for me is maybe the pump is putting enough pressure out, but it's just leaking from somewhere. And where that could be is the operating pistons. If they have worn rings, maybe that's the reason why. And both these things are not too deep inside the overdrive. I don't think it needs total rebuild, like spacers, you know how you have to measure end plates and stuff like that. I think we just need to take it off of the transmission, and we have access to the pistons. We have access to the pump from the filter. So to both these places we have access, but we don't have parts. unfortunately we can't do much about it now.
Do you want to split it to see if we can see if there's what issue there is?
We can take out the pump. That's what we can do and see visually if it has issue. We can take out the pistons too, but how are we supposed to know?
Well, there's something obvious there's your O-rings on the pistons, right?
This is the old style, probably it's with
Metal?
steel pistons,
Yeah, like the-
piston rings. But if they are snapped or seized,
So at least we could visually see that.
let's do it! So weren't we gonna just put
Yeah.
4-speed?
Yeah, we're suckers for punishment. We don't like to give up. So we'll investigate a little bit further before we give up.
Yeah, the day-to-day is dedicated to this transmission anyways.
It's
so
a rainy day. Can't go outside, so we'll try with the transmission. Yeah, it's a transmission party.
You're a little bit late for the party, but yeah, welcome to the party. So yeah, what we did was we pulled out, of course, we drained the oil. Half of it, the other half, we just let go here on the table.
Exxon Valdez.
And we took off the cover because we need to take this out to take out the overdrive from the transmission. So now here there's like 6 or 8 bolts. I don't know how many.
I think there's only 4.
No, there's
Two
more.
here at the back, 2 long ones,
Yeah.
and 2
So
at the
6.
front. So 6.
Yeah, we can take out the 4, the short ones. These ones are long for a reason, because now as we start removing those, the springs are gonna start spreading, and that's why we need all these threads here. So we're gonna remove the 4, then we're gonna start removing the 2 long ones, and that's so we can split them apart and have access to the 2 pistons. We wanna see what the pistons
And
look
the oil
like.
pump.
The oil pump is here. We have access to the oil pump from here, but we're gonna do that a little bit later. All right, so while I was helping Chris, he brought his transmission, he needed some advice. So I was helping Chris, and David loosened these bolts here. But this rod here started spinning, so we have to put double nuts. So he kind of waited for me, and while he's waiting, he decided to do some work here. So I don't know if you've seen his video on painting here. Probably not, because I haven't seen it yet, because he hasn't published it yet. But by the time my video comes out, probably his video is gonna be out too. So I'll put a link here for you to go and see. But yeah, you see he's doing some magic. Wow, looks good.
I'm making it rusty for you again.
Make sure you go to bare metal in some areas, so
look,
it's
look, bare metal. It's gonna rust nicely.
okay. That's the idea. I want some rust dripping down there. All right. So again, some videos are on my channel, some videos are on his channel. So again, I'm gonna put a link to his channel too, not only to the video. So subscribe. There are still people who know me and don't know David. How's that possible? Oh, the springs went all over the place. So these springs are 4 and 4, and okay, 2 of them are still there. So I'm gonna keep them where they are, because I'm thinking, is it possible that these springs were misplaced and they were creating too much tension? I don't know. So we have 4 springs on the inside. You see those little bosses here, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and then another 4 on the outside. So we can clearly see here that the inner springs were the thin ones and these are thicker. So this is the difference. This is thinner wire, this is thicker wire. I don't know what's correct, I don't remember, I have to go and check, but we can clearly see that the inner ones were the thinner and the outer ones were the thicker ones. So now we can take these out. All right, so we went on the Buckeye Triumph website. There, Buckeye Triumphs, and thanks God for this website, because there's so much useful information here. So they have a a whole series of PDFs explaining the theory of the overdrive and lots of information about how to disassemble it, how to assemble it. So based on that, I figured that the springs were installed properly. So as you can see here, the thicker ones are longer and the thin ones are shorter, and the thin ones go inside and the thick ones go outside. So they were installed properly. The length of the springs, now on the same document, on the same PDF, there's information about the length of the springs, and these need to be, the long ones are a little bit over 4.5 inches, the short ones are a little bit less than 4.5 inches, and these are, we measure them. So that's okay. We have the correct springs. Maybe they're new, I don't know, because when they took apart their overdrive, their springs were much shorter, so they bought new ones. So we're gonna deal with that. From the same paper also, we read that they did the exact same thing with the inner spring on the old style accumulator. They put 1/2 inch plug. We put almost a 1/4 inch plug. Turns out they put a 1/2 inch plug. Anyways, but it says clearly there that you need about 360 psi to operate the accumulator, to move the piston, and that's not happening because we have only 300 psi. So we need to figure out why we have such a low pressure. So one thing is the pump, which this is the plunger of the pump, and it's driven by this cam here on the output shaft of the transmission. Just goes in and out, in and out, in and out. So we're gonna take the pump out later and we're gonna figure it out, whether it has a lot of play or how we're gonna diagnose it, I don't know. And the other thing that might be a problem is the pistons. So these are the operating pistons. When you build up the pressure, when you open the operating valve, which is here now, the lever, you can see the lever on the side operates this little lever inside, and that pushes on the operating valve. This is the stem that we kept taking out, in and out here. So it pushes on the stem up, and that lets the pressure that was built already, lets it go into the pistons and the accumulator somehow. I'm not really sure about that yet, but that pressure is supposed to push on the pistons. The pistons come out and push on these bridges, and these bridges pull on these rods here, and they pull the brake assembly. I don't remember what it was called. I think it was called brake assembly. They pull on it this way, and that engages the clutch and puts you in overdrive mode. The new style pistons have rings, yeah, like steel rings. So if these rings are worn, we might be losing pressure from there, and that's why we're not building so much. I'm suspecting the pump, but let's take the pistons out and see what the rings look like, because sometimes pistons, the rings get broken. What we noticed here though, now that we don't have the springs there to put pressure on the 8 rods here, now this cone clutch should be free to come this way. Nothing is holding it from coming this way, and we should be able to move it in and out, but it doesn't move. Like I'm trying with my hands, I should be able to pull it this way, because the springs so far were pushing it that way. So now I should be able to pull it this way.
You need to move down your oil pump assembly, your oil pump plunger?
No.
Is that keeping it from coming forward?
No. This is staying here. There's nothing here.
So it's just the outside?
Yeah. So this whole assembly should come out this way, but it doesn't. So there are two options. The pistons are seized, or the whole assembly is seized, which means the clutch might be stuck. But we're gonna find this out by removing the bridges now. So to take out the bridges, there's little tab washers here on the side, and these are not available anymore. You can't find them. So anyways, we need to bend them out and be careful not to break them so we can reuse them. Okay, so one bridge is out, and now let's see if the piston is coming out or not. Oh, I can see it's spinning, and it's coming out. I'm pulling the other one in, so it creates vacuum inside. Now that I'm pulling it out, it creates vacuum inside and pulling the other one in. So that was a pretty good pressure. So that's not the problem. steel rings, right?
Yeah.
And they're in one piece.
Yeah.
So
I
that's
think
good.
there's maybe 4 rings here.
Yeah, they're one next to each other
Yeah.
in the same groove, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, these look good too. So this is what they look like. They're 4 rings in 2 grooves, and they look good. They're not seized inside, they're not broken, so this should be good.
Yeah.
But let's see now this carriage. Yeah, you see it's not moving. It's seized there. It's supposed to come this way. So that's what was happening. That's why the pressure was not dropping, because as soon as we open the valve, we release the pressure to come behind the pistons and push them out, but they have nowhere to go, so they just sit there. So that was one of my theories, one of my guesses, right? So you see, guys, when you make like 15 guesses, at least one of them is right. Okay, so that's it. I'm sure the clutch is seized, so we have to figure out how to unseize it. And I'm sure we're gonna work. Even with the low pressure, I'm sure it's gonna work fine. We'll see. But if we unseize this, we can put it together and test it again.
Yeah.
And if that doesn't work, then we can take out the pump from outside. We don't even need to be inside to take it out. I believe the roller can come out through this hole.
Okay, how do we get to how do we unseize the carriage?
We don't have gasket here. There's no gasket on the brake plate.
On the brake ring, no.
So we might even take apart that as well.
Well, we're gonna have to see why it's seized there, right? Because unless we can somehow pull it forward, pull the carriage forward from here.
Yeah.
But I don't know how we're gonna do that. Unless you had something like a steering wheel puller or something like that, you could brace across the face and.
If we hang it on the bridges, so its own weight hangs it down, and then we hammer on it, I don't know. No. Okay, let's play it here. It's like 8 bolts.
Okay. Do you have to pull out? That should pull out of the seal, right? No problem.
Yeah,
you
this
don't
stays
have to-
one
yeah.
assembly. They're
Yeah.
just 2 separate assemblies. Okay, we're gonna split it here as well.
Yeah, I can do that.
Alright, so now there are 4 nuts on the other side and 2 on this side. They're all removed, so now in theory it should split.
And 2 standing over it. Nuts.
Oh, okay. So now in theory this should split, but I'm assuming that's gonna be a challenge now because the clutch is stuck. So let's see. I think what we should do is, can you lift it?
Drop it on the floor.
No, just lift it and I'm gonna hammer here. There you go. Okay, split. Oh, hold on.
Yeah,
I have to
We're
remove
hitting the
the-
bridges because they're still there.
Yeah.
I love that smell of gear oil.
And there you go. So here's your problem. This should come out now. But it doesn't. Okay, you see this is still seized here. This should come out now. Wait, because the sun gear is gonna fall off, I think. Okay, but this is definitely our problem. That was one of my 15 guesses.
I just guessed it was broken, so I'm right.
All right, so David accidentally dropped it on the floor and it came loose. So that's what was happening. So you see this part, and it has brake material on the inside and it has brake material on the outside. In one direction, this brake material engages with the outside of the annulus. If you see here, the annulus has a conic shape that fits inside this cone clutch. And when it's in the other direction, this outer brake material engages with the brake plate this way. I don't want to go into theory, but that was the problem. It was literally seized. So now I can just put it back together and test it again, which is easy to say because aligning everything to fit it on the transmission is a challenge, but now you can see this can travel up and down. All right, so well, obviously that was our problem and we figured it out, or at least one of our problems, because we still don't know what caused the low pressure. Probably it is the pump because there's nothing else remaining. But what we're gonna do in the next episode, because we're gonna end this one here, we're gonna put it together and we're gonna test it again. I'm pretty sure it's gonna work even with a low pressure, but if it doesn't, then we're gonna deal with that. But like I said, that's for the next episode. So thank you guys for watching, for commenting, subscribing and sharing and supporting us and cheering for us, because so many people say that they're enjoying this project. Of course, there are a few that don't like it. Unfortunately, we can't make everybody happy, but maybe next time we're gonna make those people happy too. It's a different project. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.